The ASUS ROG 6 Pro is definitely a powerhouse. No one can deny that. But with great power comes great heat. And this definitely heats up. We put it to the test in last video where we unboxed this bad boy and we did a TDM and about a 20-minute battle royale match on PUBG Mobile. We cranked the settings up, we had max frame rate, and we were actually screen recording too, which definitely stresses the phone out. And over that play session, we went from 35 degrees up to 44 degrees Celsius, and you could certainly feel the heat to the touch. Now, to try to fix this, ASUS has also introduced an incredible cooling fan attachment with 4 mappable buttons. This is the AeroActive Cooler 6, and we're going to unbox it today and see if we can bring those temperatures down and keep things cool. This is Mobile Gaming Tech, I'm wynnsanity, and let's get into it. So if you watched our last video, you'll know that I accidentally ordered 2 of these. So this is what it looks like, but this isn't fun, right? We gotta actually do the unboxing. So here we go. This is what it looks like in the packaging. We got the ASUS tape. Open this up, and I have been able to use this other unit since I had 2 of them, and I can say I do like it quite a lot. So this is it, the ROG AeroActive Cooler, and you can see it snaps on the back of the phone, and it utilizes that side port that this phone has and is able to, get that real-time connectivity with pretty much 0 latency on the inputs. And here it is. We have another one. There's the cooler. And of course, this is fully equipped with the all RGB lights, as most gamers would come to expect from a gaming product. Peel off a little bit more packaging here. This is going to be the surface that gets nice and icy cold to keep that phone as low of temperature as possible. This also has a little bit of a feature here for a... Oh, that's not good. Let's pop that back in. I can't say the other one didn't do that though. One of the interesting things about this accessory is that the top clamp actually covers the power button. So in order to still activate that button, there's a little bit of a pass through here. So you press this on the top and it actually will go through the clamp and then press the button underneath. So if we open this up too, you'll see on the back, we've now got some blue lights that look incredible. Honestly, this phone is just unmatched in terms of aesthetics. We have these 4 buttons. We have an R1, R2, L1, and L2 on the back as well. And you still have the top triggers that are accessible as well. So really, if you want to get super advanced, you can go thumbs on the screen, index fingers on triggers, and you can have L's and R's on the back as well, which is pretty insane. So the same way that we mapped the air triggers in the last video is also how you can map the cooler buttons. So you'll notice that for our triggers, we've got L and R, and additionally, we can go over to the cooler button section, and this will allow us to map R1, L1, R2, and L2. Now I've got R1 here, so I press R1 at the top, and you'll see it activating that. L1 activates that as well. And personally, this is preference, right? I don't find it very comfortable trying to use these back buttons are a little awkward. So if I were to try to hold this, it's looking something like this. And like you've got this kind of crazy spider setup going, and hitting these with my, I guess, ring fingers is a little bit awkward. I'm not gonna lie. So I've been content to just use 4 triggers on top and then everything else with my thumbs. Now coming from iPad, I'm a claw player with only 4 fingers. So I was able to do everything on a larger screen with just 4 fingers. Obviously, without as much screen space, we can take 2 actions and put them on the back and still use our middle fingers pretty effectively. So it's kind of like a 6-finger setup at the end of the day, and it works pretty well. Now, we're actually only at 35 degrees Celsius, and this fan is completely running off the phone's power. Now, if we wanted to charge the phone and give it a little bit more juice as well so that we're not draining the battery faster, given that the cooler has to run off the battery, we have a pass-through port on the bottom as well. And you can plug in, the fast supercharger. What I love about this phone and what drew me to it the most is that we can actually have a cord coming out of the bottom. So you can truly play completely uninhibited and hold the phone like this, right? I might actually do that just to simulate exactly what I'm talking about. So let's bring this cord over here and plug it into the bottom. And we should initiate some kind of charging. We are, yes. All right, charging is working, and just like that, we're good to go. All right, so we've got our aim, shoot. Gyro works, no worries there. And I believe I moved my crouch button. So I can, come around a corner, and I still have the ability to jump with that middle finger, fire with the index finger. And also, real quick, one thing I can turn on to in this menu, if I go to air triggers, we go to cooler buttons, I can independently also turn on the ability to have the visual. So now, anytime I press any of these triggers, you'll see it light up. So you can see we've got jump, crouch, and I accidentally hit one of these back L2, R2 buttons, and that's why I don't want to use them, because I find myself accidentally hitting them. I can kind of crouch spam while firing. It's a little awkward, and yeah, I accidentally hit these back buttons all the time. So if I had them mapped, I would be pressing things that I'm not intending to press, which is a bit of a problem. So in the first true gameplay test I had with this cooler, I did run into some issues. Now, a little bit of it was the phone's fault, but I'd say most of it was my fault for kind of being a noob and not knowing how to use this thing. So the very first thing was that the cooling fan wasn't even on. I had to go deep into the settings of the X mode, into the cooler settings, and there was a little switch that said, disable fan when microphone is active. Oh, okay, so that is good to know. I'm kind of dumb. Do not disable that. So I had to disable that setting in order to get the cooling to initiate. And once it did, then the phone immediately dropped in temperature and you saw the cooler actually doing its job. Now the fan's on, it's already back down to 38, now it's at 37, so that's making a huge impact, like immediately. The second problem I ran into was around frame rate. So I actually wanted to switch at one point back to smooth 90 FPS, but I was still locked at 60 FPS. I actually had to close the game and reopen the game in order for 90 FPS to take effect. Oh God, I dipped down to 46 FPS in that fight. Man, I'm dropping so many frames right now. Here, I'm gonna go smooth 90, just because that's what most people play on anyway. Okay. I force closed the app, opened it, now I'm back to, now I have 90. And last but not least, I definitely was pushing the phone to its limits, doing HDR, 60 FPS, screen recording. The cooler was trying to run at some point, whatever, I was charging. It was just a lot for the phone to handle, and I was getting some frame dips here and there. Now, PUBG Mobile has had some frame rate issues in this most recent update. We've seen many different devices kind of dip and fluctuate in frames, so I'm not too sure how much of the game is to blame and how much of the device is to blame, but I can say once I went to smooth 90, which is a little bit more of a normal experience I'm going to play on every day, things actually felt pretty good. Oh, car, buggy, those two. No shot. Let's go, dude. That was insane. So this did run at the end of the day pretty well in PUBG Mobile, but I want to give myself one more point of reference. Let's go test it out in Call of Duty Mobile and see how the back buttons in the cooler works under a different game. Okay, so we're gonna head into a multiplayer match here, a ranked match, and just for reference graphics, we're gonna play on low graphics quality, but it allows us to unlock the ultra frame rate that's available in multiplayer. We're also starting with 32 degrees Celsius, which is not bad at all. I whipped out the jack-o'-lanterns for Halloween, man. What's really funny is like where in PUBG Mobile, my frames would dip a little bit from 90 down to 80. This keeps dipping up to 91. We're getting over 90 FPS. We're getting 91. Honestly, the phone is still like at 34, which is not bad at all. It's only gone up like 2 degrees. Yo, I couldn't even see that guy through the pumpkin. Is this my secondary? What is this secondary? Oh my God. What is this weapon? I've never seen this pistol in my life. Oh my God, this thing's disgusting. What is this? Wait, actually though, what is this thing? So 35 degrees. So we ticked up about 3 degrees. The battery obviously drained just a little bit. CPU, GPU about 50%, and we were locked steady at 90 FPS that whole time. All right, all in all, I will say that this certainly did help when it came from a temperature standpoint. We were able to hover around 36 or 37 degrees, but as you guys saw, there were definitely a little bit of growing pains, having to go in and configure some of the settings. Overall, now after 2 videos, if you watched both of these, the phone unboxing and the Aero Cooler unboxing, I'd say it's a very powerful combination of gaming hardware, but it certainly leaves a lot left to be desired. So I would have to say good. I'm definitely not going to say great. And at the price tag that this comes in at for the phone and this accessory, you can certainly weigh your options against Apple and other Android developers. This is phenomenal, but with some of the limitations like I've been mentioning throughout these videos, not being able to stream and do any kind of HDMI output, or at least doing it, throttles it down to 24 FPS. And you cannot do any kind of output when you have the Aero Cooler on. This throughput port right here does not allow any kind of video feed to go through, and when you have this port enabled, it limits the functionality of this port, which I couldn't even get the HDMI output to work on this bottom port at all. So if strictly all you're trying to do is play some games at a very high graphics or play games well and keep your phone cool, this is certainly a good combination, but there's other good combinations out there for not this much money, and we'll definitely be doing some comparisons against other options versus this. So I had a good experience. Don't think I had a great experience. I don't regret it. The phone's beautiful, but I guess we'll leave it there for now. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check out another video here. We'll link somewhere at the end screen. We're still figuring that out as we get videos up on the channel, but thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.